Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andrew Kramer. Welcome to PMG's summer webinar series. This installment is called Reducing Call Volume with Automated Request Processing. My name is Andrew Kramer. I'm VP Customer Solutions here at PMG. My contact information is on this slide. The slide deck will be made available after our event. We can also send it to you via email or post it on our website. Just some quick housekeeping items. This is scheduled for 30 minutes. We are going to try to end promptly on time. We are very respectful of your time. You can ask all kinds of questions of me throughout the webinar through the chat application in GoToWebinar. If we don't get a chance to answer your question during the session, we'll of course follow up with you after the event. I will leave some time at the end for Q&A. Again, we'll provide links to the presentation, and a recording of the webinar will be emailed to you. If you'd like to reach out to me personally and ask me any personal questions, I could be reached at akramer@PMG.net. Quick agenda for today. We're going to talk about the different types of service desk requests, how we're going to automate those requests via an enterprise service catalog to reduce call volume to the desk. We're also going to talk about the specific case of email-based tickets and quote-unquote calls and how we might process those more effectively. And we're going to take you through a short demo on how you can achieve some of these results quickly. We're going to share with you some customer success stories, metrics, and KPIs. And last but not least, we'll obviously take some questions. So the service desk, we all have one, and most end users think it's the ultimate bottleneck. There's seemingly insatiable high demand to the desk. Call volumes continue to grow. User bases continue to grow. Complexity continues to increase. So the demand seems to be insatiable. But unfortunately, a high percentage of these calls, the frontline desk can't answer necessarily the first time, and they have to, by virtue of depth and breadth and complexity, route those calls elsewhere to a tier 2, to a tier 3, to specialty teams, and that just introduces delay and potentially frustration to the end user. So our users are getting frustrated, and many of them, by the time they even have to pick up the phone at all, they're already frustrated. And unfortunately, calling at all is the most expensive method of support, and it might not even be the one that the user wants to do. So, but if we don't provide them a different option, then this is the only game in town. But what if there is a different option? What if we can empower them to get better, faster, quicker service via self-service and not have to call and not have to go through some of the gauntlets and auto attendance and have to wait to be routed to tier 2 or tier 3. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is how we can save calls to the desk while improving customer service and speed of service delivery. And empowering this self-service is a known benefit. Forrester is coming out with a new report this month talking about mastering service catalogs, and within that report they cite an HDI study that shows that at least 12% of support centers received at least a 32% decrease in ticket volume due to the introduction of self-help. I think it's higher than that, and we've here at PMG have seen decreases in ticket volumes sometimes as high as 80 or 90%, depending on the situation. So the 3 call types. So this is very high level and very basic. So the first type is what we call information requests. Your help desk gets these calls all day, every day, and probably every member of the desk has answered the same questions probably 100 different times. These questions typically start with, what can I, how do I, and the answers are typically stored in the service desk agent's head, and they can respond, well, you have to go here for that, you have to call this person for this other thing, or you have to go to some other portal or call some other phone number or go to the knowledge base article. And this can be time consuming, and these are the types of calls that can be prevented if this information was readily available via a self-help or a service catalog portal. The second type of call is net new requests. typically starts with, I want to order blank. I want to order a new PC. I want access to a file share. I want an accessory. I want a mobile device. Anything that the user needs to get their job done better, faster, quicker, we consider that a net new request. Why do they have to call someone to do that? Why can't there be an add to cart button and online shopping to go ahead and get that process started? And the last but not least type of call is status requests. So if you're getting information requests and you're getting deluged with net new requests, you may very well get a call every single day asking you what the status of a net new request is until it's fulfilled. And so that's another category of calls we aim to tackle by providing real-time status to your customers. You can prevent one, if not all, of those types of calls. So let's dive into information requests a little bit more. First of all, the Enterprise Service Catalog is the place where they can understand what is available, what does it cost, and how to acquire it. And more information, of course, like what is the service level agreement, how fast can I get it. All those questions should be attributes of your service catalog entries. And so your service catalog entries are going to answer the who, what, when, where, how, and why of the information they're asking. The who is typically who's the service owner. If I have a problem, who do I call? What's included in the service? Is it a singular item? Is it a bundled item? How fast is the CPU, or how much memory does it include, or what accessories come with it? How soon can I get it? If you don't put that in there, the customer is going to have unrealistic expectations like, hey, why didn't you get this? Can't you get this to me by tomorrow? Where do I get it? Do I have to go somewhere else? Do I have to contact a supplier or another individual within the company? Or can I order it right then and there? And how much does it cost? We've seen a lot of very immature catalogs where the costs are not included. And this leads to all kinds of other problems, such as demand management problems. If something is considered free, then you might as well go ahead and order it, right? I'll go ahead and order myself a brand new iPad if it doesn't have a cost next to it. But if it has a price and I have to pay for it, I might need to go get the money and get approval and so on. So including how much it costs is obviously very critical. And then the why is, do you provide different services for different people? Do you need the bronze, silver, or gold edition? That type of thing. And so those types of descriptions in your services are also very helpful. So the how do I? So how do I in knowledge management, you need to be able to embed knowledge and chat and other types of content, your wiki, your how-to, your known error database within your enterprise service catalog. And so what we're highlighting here is that you have a knowledge tab. Your search at the top integrates both service results in terms of things that you can order. It also includes content results that come from any other knowledge items within the enterprise service catalog portal. It can come from your known error database, your FAQ, or anything like that. And if you can't find what you're looking for through simple navigation or through the search, you can, of course, click a button and chat with a live person. And chat is known to cost far less than staffing for calls. So we're trying to, again, reduce calls, and if we can, if they still have to work with humans, we can at least do that through a less expensive channel. So let's get into some of the net new requests. So anything that's orderable, it should be orderable through a shopping transaction. This is the way we all operate as consumers. We all go online to the Internet. The Internet does over $1 trillion worth of transactions every single year worldwide, and 99% of the time it doesn't involve a phone call. If you look at a site like Amazon or eBay, very few, if any, transactions ever warrant a human interaction. And so they can conduct those transactions at pennies per transaction, whereas if you still have to call, you have to staff a call center, and you're back up to that $23 per call type of cost figure. So if I'm ordering hardware, laptops, accessories, software, whether it's for my PC or laptop or the data center, or even for a mobile device, your app store should be part of this same enterprise service catalog ordering interface. And then there's other types of services that you shouldn't have to go to a separate type of portal. So we're starting to see some organizations make the mistake or exacerbate the mistake of having portal sprawl. They have one portal for HR services, another portal for cloud and those types of services, and yet another one for hardware, another one for storage. And what we should be looking to do is collapse any type of ordering portal into a single enterprise catalog. And of course, if you can't order it then and there, and you just want to open up a generic ticket, you should have the ability to do that, and you should have the ability to surf your knowledge. And last but not least, of course, if you need to interact with the humans, you can do that through chat or dial a phone number on the given on the page. The other potential for dramatically reducing the number of net new requests is the concept of bundling your requests. So the classic example of that is something like an employee onboarding. When we onboard an employee, there's quite a few things that employee needs on day one. And imagine that we had to call and order each and every discrete item as a separate ticket or call to the help desk. That would be very tedious and very difficult to track and manage. And instead of doing that, we offer up a bundle in the service catalog that includes a predefined and or user configurable bundle. That includes their hardware, their PC or laptop, their desktop phone, their mobile phone, their network access, network ID, email account, any other access to any other things that they might need to do their job, file shares, other applications they need to log into. Might need to get them to review and electronically sign their HR forms and policies. So instead of having to go to an HR portal separately from their IT portal, that's all combined in a single bundled request. And sometimes your bundles are bundles within bundles. You might have PC or laptop bundles that include not only physical items like the laptop itself, but accessories, but also the installation perhaps, the desk side installation of the device, maybe a training class, anything that you might need to put into the bundle. The idea is that each bundle that you do will reduce, if not eliminate, 4 or more calls or separate calls to your help desk. And then of course we have different types of bundles, and depending on the organization, these can get quite interesting and quite complex. We start to see that with infrastructure types of service bundles and cloud service bundles. You might have fixed bundles. For example, you wouldn't run necessarily JBoss, an application server by itself, but when you order JBoss, it almost always gets installed with a MySQL database. And so this particular service catalog entry shows that when you order the JBoss, you always get MySQL, and it provides a cost per compute unit and so on. So this is what we call a fixed bundle, where the service catalog admin has made the bundle and made it very easy for the end user to order the fixed bundle ahead of time. Dynamic bundling starts to come in where once you've created some bundles, now the user has some control over the bundle. They might be able to adjust quantities. They might want to order 2 of these or 5 of these, or adjust the number of CPUs or memory in a virtual machine. And then you might have something even more complex like a hierarchical bundle. Hierarchical bundles mean that when the user orders A, it might require 2 of B and 3 of C, and you can mix and match dependencies. For example, if you're ordering a Linux virtual machine, you might disable the ability to order a Microsoft SQL Server database. When you order a Linux virtual machine, your options are then limited to MySQL and Oracle. And then if you order Oracle, you might then require an Oracle license and 5 hours of Oracle installation services. So those become hierarchical bundles that you should be able to define within your catalog. And by doing so, you're going to limit the number of calls and limit the number of confusion and back and forth required to deliver and fulfill the service request. So we talked, I introduced this notion of net new requests via email as well. I have yet to come across an organization that doesn't have email-based tickets. Everyone has a support@domain.com type of email address, And some organizations get hundreds, if not thousands, of emails to this inbox every day, and they may have one or more people on the service desk literally opening and monitoring that email box and manually determining what to do with those. And typically they read the subject and the body of the email and then copy and paste the contents into a ticketing system. This is highly manual and typically costs even more than a typical $23 per call telephone call. And this is an antiquated way of doing things. And what we suggest is to implement automated email processing, whereas this email address is being sent to a piece of software that parses the email and does all of the things that you might be doing manually with service desk personnel. And it will automatically read the subject and the body for keywords. It can eliminate duplicate email. It can eliminate spam. It can dynamically take out the contents, such as it's a PC or a known error code, and then dynamically and automatically route it to the right help desk and create the appropriate incident, problem, or change ticket for you. And by doing this, you can keep the convenience of allowing users to send an email to open a ticket, but automate the backside of that to eliminate call and volume and expense. So last but not least type is status requests. So we get sometimes one net new request generates 5 status requests, right? So if I ordered a new PC today, I might call every day this week to the service desk saying, where is it? Where is it? And so what we want to do is try to eliminate those because there's no value to either side of that equation. So what we want to do is provide a real-time dashboard to the customer so that they can check on their own status. Just like they would if they ship something via FedEx or UPS, they can track their package. We're doing the same thing with service requests. So what we have here is a screenshot of our most recent requests. We can see at a high level when it was submitted, what the progress is, and then of course we can drill down and see further into the supply chain. So this sort of screenshot shows where you're showing this notion of percent complete. You can show what has been done, what is it waiting on, what's next in our workflow. And of course, if we want to drill down even further, we can go see the contents of the ticket, or if we have questions, we can launch a link to send an email back to the support team. You can even embed a chat link here if you prefer. So the idea is to provide more granular status information than typically the service desk agent is able to perform. They don't have to spend time looking up a ticket number, then trying to read through the ticket to provide status. That's going to be provided automatically directly to the user. And of course, we can provide the same level of information through emails. So in this view, what we can see is we're showing you the real-time process execution view. Now this is optional for some folks, and it's actually even more information that you'd normally get from someone like UPS or FedEx. They kind of tell you very high level, hey, your package has been shipped, it's en route, and your expected delivery date. But you're not able to see necessarily what truck it's on, who's touching it. Whereas with Service Catalog and automated workflow fulfillment, you could provide that level of visibility and show the real-time workflow diagram and see where things are waiting or where the bottlenecks are. And of course, all the while, you could be sending email notifications explaining the same level of status. If there are interactions and you need input from people on the fulfillment side, they can interact with those workflows using button clicks like approve and reject and things of that nature. Okay. So we're going to do a quick demo here, and we're going to show you how instead of calling the help desk to add a user to the network, we're going to go ahead and avoid calling at all. So I'm in an enterprise service catalog, and I want to search for creating a user of some kind, so I can start to look over here in my search results. I can say, wow, how do I create or delete or bundle? I can also do things like, navigate through the category tree. So I can find what I'm looking for very quickly, either through search or through navigation. And so I don't have to call and say, hey, how do I add a user to the network? I can go ahead and find a form, and I can go ahead and do that right now. So I'm going to hire this person named Emily Johnson and give her a name here, her email address, and UPN is just with the domain name, and SAM account name is just, you can leave these things off of your form if you like, and then we can put a password. And of course, if you wanted to add more users, you can do that, but we'll go ahead and add it to our cart and submit it. And now we didn't have to call anybody to create this user. It goes straight into workflow. We can see the status of that workflow. An approval is required from a human. I'm just going to go ahead and provide that approval real quick. I can do it through the service catalog interface. I can do it through an email if I prefer. I'm just going to go ahead and approve it quickly here. And then if I wanted to know the status again, instead of calling the help desk, I can always call again. And now I can see that, wow, my request is complete. It was approved. The user has been created. If I wanted to see the workflow behind it, of course, I can see the whole workflow and that everything is now done. So I've eliminated all of these different calls. So if we recap, I didn't have to make an information request on how do I create a new account. I made a net new request to create the account as a self-service. I didn't have to call for multiple status requests. Of course, there's other types of savings involved here. We had near real-time service. It took me less than 15 seconds to order it. The provisioning of the account was done in less than 10 seconds. And this avoids having a sysadmin work on this type of thing for 5 to 10 minutes. And of course, we have a full audit trail for reporting and governance. So I show you how we created an automated process with full interaction to workflow. Your workflows can be more complex than what I showed you. They can integrate with any type of ITSM tool or to other business systems, anything that's required to automate these types of requests end-to-end across your enterprise. And you want to shoot for auto-provisioning whatever's possible. So the workflow tools that are out there allow you to create accounts, create virtual machines, create access rights and permissions, create users. So those are things that are not, it's not required. They're opportunities to avoid the labor and expense for sysadmins to do that traditional work. So some real-world examples, and I want to reserve some time for some questions here at the end. This comes from a customer where after they implemented their service catalog over a 3-year period, and initially 100% of calls came through the service desk. And so every time a call came in, they had to route it to a level 2 or a level 3. And then after they implemented self-service in the service catalog, 57% of those calls bypass the service desk, and they go straight to the level 2 or level 3. Right? So you have a dramatic reduction in volume and processing costs. The service desk is able to have a lighter workload and have additional capacity. And here's another example of the same kind of a customer. The users love this, so they prefer not to call. And so they went from an initial launch, soft launch, to one test user business unit of about 5,000 users. And it more than quadrupled in year 2 to 32,000, and then it's over 86,000 in 2012, and on target to hit almost 150,000 requests in 2013. So it shows massive adoption of this type of technology, which is not surprising because this is the way the world of the regular internet works. So let's quickly recap. The service desk is a bottleneck. We should target these 3 types of calls: information, net new, and status for complete and total elimination if we can. Users actually prefer self-service. It's going to result in improved service levels and turnaround times, all while putting in place a defined, repeatable, and auditable process. And if we do the math at $23 a call, and this particular customer with over 86,000 calls, we're talking about over $2 million in savings. So, some questions. I tried to end with enough amount of time at the end to answer questions. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my question panel, and please feel free to ask some questions. So I have the first question is the percent complete is calculated based on what? Very good question. So percent complete of a request, the way PMG does things is if you think about a self-service transaction and if you own the whole workflow behind it, your percent complete is going to be the percent complete of the whole request supply chain being fulfilled. So if we had 100 steps in our workflow or in our supply chain to fulfill that request, and we're managing all of that through workflow, and imagine all of those things happen one step at a time in serial, and you're 10 steps in, you're 10% of the 100 steps. In the real world, most of your workflows are not quite that simple. They don't happen necessarily serial. You might have multiple workflow paths happen in parallel, and so your percent complete can be arbitrary. So your workflow designers can say, you know what, at this point in the workflow, we're going to consider this 40% complete or 60% complete. So it doesn't have to be mathematically accurate. It can be just what you as a fulfillment team think it makes sense to communicate back to the customer. So it's a great question. It's a sort of a technical answer. Be happy to take deep into that offline. Okay, next question is, can PMG interface with multiple service management ticketing systems? Yes, we can. PMG has out-of-box integration with every major ITSM tool that I know of. It integrates with BMC Remedy, CA Service Desk, IBM Maximo, Numara Footprints, Marval. Man, the list goes on. Front Range is another one. And you can integrate to just about any ticketing system, and it's designed, you can do one or multiple ticketing systems. And the idea is that regardless of how many integrations you have in your supply chain, you can provide one single pane of glass to explain to the user the status of their request. You might have 10 ticketing systems among 10 different suppliers fulfilling a request, but you'll be able to see that percent complete and all the status steps and exactly where you are in terms of workflow. Okay, I think I have time for at least one more question. And let's see. All right. The next question is interacting. How do you interact with mobile devices? Which is another great question. So obviously, we're all mobile enabled. There are now more mobile devices on the planet than there are humans, which means that we're all carrying more than one mobile device, which means we love them and we're going to use them for the foreseeable future. So PMG, we support full mobile integration with every mobile platform, and you can do it with or without mobile apps. This is important for a couple of reasons. One is there's a whole new set of challenges, as we know, with BYOD and security. And you might want to be able to do something like approvals and things of that nature via your lockdown mobile device the way you got it directly from Apple, for example. And so we leverage the ability to use those devices out of box without installing apps so that you can do things like open up the email client and interact with workflow through the existing out-of-box email client rather than having to download an app. If you do have rights and permissions to download apps, there's obviously advantages to interacting and doing things that way. And so PMG has mobile apps to support Android and Apple iOS, and soon to support also Windows Mobile as well. All right. Let's see. I have time for one more question. And the last question is, can you do service level management? And I didn't quite cover that here today, but the short answer is yes. You can set up any of your service requests can have due dates, for example, and you can manage your SLA to the due date. You can have stated due dates, like this will be delivered within 10 business days or 30 business days. And you can have underpinning OLA measurements in between. There's metrics and dashboards to support that as well. All right, I will take one last question, and I promise to cut off within our time allotment. The last question is, how long does it take to realistically get a service catalog set up? Well, I'm obliged to say that it depends. You can install a service catalog product in a couple of hours. And most service catalog products try to give you a giant running head start by giving you template material, things like I did, ordering an AD account, ordering a laptop, ordering a cloud server. There's typically templates that you can use out of box to do probably 70 to 90% of the types of services you'd put in your own catalog anyway. And then it becomes an issue of, how much do you want to customize or configure those to meet your needs, and how complex are your workflows. But in general, we've seen most clients are able to go from zero to a production-ready, actionable catalog with some number of services with fully automated workflows in 90 days or less. Again, if I've ran myself out of time, I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. If you have additional questions, please feel to contact me directly at PMG.net. If you'd like to know more about PMG, please visit us at www.pmg.net. Thank you so much.